Driving Gloves. We're a combination of gearheads. John, the instigator, Derek, the constructor, Will, the builder, Sean, the racer, and maybe a guest. Invite you to listen while they sit down, have a drink, and discuss cars. Learn more and subscribe to the podcast at No Driving Gloves. Time now for the ride. Hey, we're here, everybody. We're trying some new intros. We're trying a few different things. I'm looking for a 3-minute timer. If anybody's got a 3-minute timer, give me a 3-minute timer.
3-minute timer? What? That 1-minute one was rocking.
Well, I need
like
a 3-minute. Give these. Look at this. We got 5 viewers the moment we start.
Look at that.
It's a lot better than the 0 viewers about 40 minutes in.
Hey. We gotta just we'll hook them and we keep them. That's what we do, right, Will? Did Will freeze up on us?
Yeah, y'all sound all crazy right now.
Uh-oh.
No.
Y'all sound all crazy or something.
The episode like you should.
What do you mean we sound crazy?
I've already done it twice. Y'all sounded like robots there for a minute.
Uh-oh.
Well,
so
if any of the listeners still think we're robots, everybody got Mr. Roboto.
Careful now.
Hey, I sing so far off tune. No YouTube, Facebook, whatever copyright software is going to get me.
All right. Can I just say that tonight's background is like my dream shop? I don't know how you got that picture, John, but that is my dream shop.
Did I tell you that's what my old shop looked like?
Wow, man, must have been nice.
You are very quiet.
It's not what my shop looks like. I don't have to put bars on my windows in Hoax Bluff.
Those aren't bars.
No, them are bars on the windows.
I wish I had a full-size picture of that to put up there. Well, wait, we could do this. I bet you I could do. Oh, that's the wrong button.
It's called True Historic Paned Windows. Okay, Will?
They look like bars to me.
Oh, my God. All right, let's just move on with the show.
But I'm doing all this fancy background work here for you guys.
It looks like carbon fiber.
Yeah, we're back to the carbon fiber wave background here.
There you go.
So, Will, welcome back. You're not at Hooters tonight.
No, but I'm still drinking beer.
That's funny.
You got some wings? Man, falling short.
No, he left those at Hooters.
I did. But I will tell you, this is some mighty good stuff. Coleman, Alabama right here, baby.
What? Oh, I can't read it. Will, tell me what it says. Remember, this is an audio podcast.
It is Goat Island Brewery, their blood orange.
Well, I've heard of that.
If this is an audio podcast, why are we all on video?
Orange wheat ale.
Well, I can turn all our videos off. It'd be really boring to the listeners out there that seem to be commenting, but some
You mean the
idiot doesn't
viewers?
have his comments up.
Made in the great town of Coleman, Alabama.
One of the
And
few
we're
legal
working on
alcohols
some
that come out of
sponsorship.
Alabama.
And if any microbreweries or local beer breweries any small breweries want to step up, I mean, get me out of my Michelob Ultra, because this is 3 guys sitting around, possibly 4 guys sitting around having a beer, talking cars.
Depending on how many drinks we have, it could turn into 6 guys.
Oh, yes. And then we might have studio audiences enjoying wine in the background.
Maybe.
Nothing like a fine wine.
Yes.
Yeah, it's good to be back. Not at Hooters in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Yeah. I mean, nothing big happened while you were out in Oklahoma, did it?
Nah.
Okay.
Now we just went to a car show and took home the big cheese, won it all, best in class, best in show,
You know what? Nobody
everything.
Boring.
the color of that car, but I
Yeah.
did.
Boring.
I can show you part of the. Oh, this thing's kind of heavy.
That's a big
Did you drink
trophy.
milk out of that trophy?
That's a big big ass martini.
No, but it does have little olives in it.
Martini olives. Nice.
Well, I don't know if you heard, but the studio audience commented that it looked like a big martini glass.
There you go.
Yeah.
So my good buddy that I met this weekend, Nate Newport from Strictly Hot Rods in Kansas, these showed up in the mail today, and with this nice little note, it said, "Here's the olives for that badass martini glass trophy from Starbird. Laugh out loud," from Nate Newport. So he hooked us up with olives. Thanks, Nate.
Nice.
Yeah. I don't know what I wanted to say, so forget it. Oh, no wonder things are wrong on my end. I got to switch
Oh,
some
Lord.
screens around.
Our host can't even get it together.
Oh, it's just my end. It doesn't matter to anybody out there. Maybe. Do it this way.
So I've been working.
Hey, you know what this is?
A drink.
No, that sound. What's that sound?
I believe it's called Papa Top.
It's the international sound of happiness.
Ah.
That's what that is.
Nice.
Oh, what a slow start to the episode. Sorry about that, everybody out there.
Yeah, we were kind of hoping you'd have everything set on your end before hitting go live, but you know.
I got everything set on my end. It's all working just fine.
All right.
I mean, your pictures, you're a little bit dark. Where's your fancy lighting? I got my LEDs
Yeah, I
on.
must have forgot to turn a light on. I don't know. I don't really care. Nobody wants to see me anyway.
Yeah, like I said, it's an audio podcast. We focus on the audio here.
Exactly. Of which we're doing a terrible job tonight.
Yes, we are. But I promise, beginning in April, the audio
Well,
podcast will be properly edited.
beginning in April, we'll actually start talking.
Oh,
We
so
got a
I'm trying to
month.
think of. I think I threw a bitch up on the Facebook page this week just to get it back to some automotive things. No, before we get to the topic, car discounts not coming back, says largest dealership group. Do you believe that?
Okay, so interestingly enough, and I have not done enough research on this because it literally dropped today in Kentucky, but the governor here is actually executing an executive order to drop the property tax or what the state taxes on vehicles due to the price increase. So he's actually taking it to a state level to reduce the taxes the state charges because of how high dealerships are marking up automobiles.
I disagree. So,
well, you can't disagree. It's what he's doing.
Well,
I'm just bringing that fact to the table.
Because now the state's sacrificing tax dollars at the expense in order to provide profits for dealerships, which I think
I
is
didn't
BS.
say whether I agreed with it or disagree. I'm just bringing it to the table.
Well,
Now,
I'm not a
because
Kentucky
I'm
resident.
looking
I
for
could
a
say
new
it's a pretty
vehicle.
stupid freaking idea.
Because I'm looking for a new vehicle. I don't mind it.
Wow. No. Remember a couple years ago when it was the Will Help Wanted show? And we did a Help Wanted ad every week for Will's shop. And what has it become lately? Derek buys a new car. Derek buys a new car.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's only February and you're like shopping for your third now.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, you are.
It's second.
What about your wife's?
Let's try. Dude, we bought the Acadia like a year and a half ago.
You've lost your mind.
It's a 2020.
One.
No, it's a 2020. I know because it just got wrecked like 4 months ago.
Oh, so y'all wrecked both of them.
No, she got hit. So
Derek did his himself. But car discounts are not coming back. Do you really think that when all of this pandemic and chip shortage and production holdups and boats catching fire in the Atlantic, sorry, Matt, if you didn't hear, Matt Ferris Porsche burned up in the Atlantic. Do you really think car dealerships, especially American car dealerships, aren't going to bring back rebates and discounting and negotiating?
I think it all depends on how much supply comes back into the market and what the demand stays at. That's what's going to, I mean, they're not dealing right now. I'll tell you that.
Well, unless you're buying an Alfa Romeo, supposedly Alfa Romeo, Lincoln, Land Rover, and there's one other before I get to Mini are still all selling below sticker price. I put a Facebook post up about that today.
Maybe I need to look at those.
But I just think this is a piece of press coming from a dealership group kind of pretending that, hey, we're not going to discount cars. If we don't discount cars, people aren't going to be able to buy cars in a couple of years, because not only the previous business model, people were so far upside down, they depended on rebates and cash incentives and things like that. As we start recovering and car values start correcting, you people are going to definitely need discounting and rebates to get out of the things that they paid way too much money for today. My personal opinion. But that was just one of the headlines that had come across my desk, but really over the last couple of days. Last week's show topic took a form of reality yesterday when AT&T shut down their 3G service. So I don't know if it's affecting anybody yet, but supposedly it's affecting some alarm companies and some alarm systems out there, and we'll see where it goes.
I'm on AT&T and my watch seems to still be working. So give it another couple days.
Another couple days, or, it could be that the Samsung slid it over to just any 3G service. It doesn't, I'm thinking it doesn't maybe necessarily have to be AT&T, but maybe it does. Yeah, sorry if your watch dies. Keep us updated.
Yeah, I will. But anyway, I think I agree with you, Will. I mean, if dealerships, once the supply comes back up in, the supply chain, just because one of the large automotive dealer, conglomerates, whatever you want to call it, says they're not going to cut deals, the other dealerships are going to start cutting deals to get the business, and they're going to be forced to. It's just because they're one big one, they're not going to be able to control the market with all the other dealerships out there.
That's true. I really don't give a crap either way on this topic. I mean, I'm very seldom do I ever buy a new car.
I was going to say, Will's still driving a 97 Tahoe.
Absolutely. I like cool stuff. What's new that is cool that I can afford? Nothing. So, I mean, even my wife's car we bought used. I don't like dealing with dealerships. In my 40 years of being here, I've bought 2 brand new vehicles, and I don't care if I ever buy another. I know how to work on stuff. I know how to work on late model stuff. I know how to work on old stuff. So I'm not going to lose that 25, 30% the second you drive it off the lot.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not that that's the case right now, but it will get back to that. And it's going to come back. Everybody's freaking out about, the dealerships marking crap up. And you know what? Hey, take advantage of the situation. If I owned a dealership, I'd be doing the same freaking thing. You can't get them. So somebody comes in to buy it. All right, I pay me more. It's just that simple. Because if you don't, the guy coming in behind you is going to.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it sucks for a situation like yours, Derek, where you messed your truck up and you got to get a new one and they totaled it. I feel sorry for guys like you in the situation that you're in.
Hey, nobody's saying I'm buying. Well,
Well, you know,
Obviously, I'm not buying a new car because I definitely can't afford that because prices are stupid.
right.
But even the used
It-
cars I'm looking at dealerships, I've been checking out Marketplace and Craigslist online because I'm at a point honestly where I might not buy something even used on the dealer lot. I might just go buy a beater
Dude,
and drive it until
right.
prices come down or whatever.
That's exactly what I was about to say. Go buy you a 96 Cavalier just to get your butt to and from work. And you know what? Whenever the prices come down, take your insurance money and go
Mhm.
buy you what you want. Pitch the keys to some homeless dude, sign the title over to him, and say, "Here you go. Get where you want to go and hit the road."
I got a comment here that from a different perspective, because from really a not a car person perspective, to them it would make more sense to go out right now and pay a little bit more for a brand new car that has a term and a warranty, because this person does not trade cars as often as I do. I don't think some dealerships don't trade cars as often as I do, but that they would buy something new because, you know, you would have an end in sight, you know, when you would be out, and you would have a warranty through the whole period. So there is an argument not to buy that cheap beater, because hell, the cheap beaters are expensive right now. And
Some are, I'll say that. But, I mean, it depends on who you are, John. You just said it. It's the person who's evidently commenting to you is, they're not a car person. They're not somebody that grew up working on cars or learned how to work on cars. Whereas people like at least Will and myself, because John just doesn't want to do it, we know how to work on cars. So if we buy an older car that's a beater and something breaks down, we're going to fix it. We're going to fix it ourselves. We don't need the warranty.
Here you go. 2000 S10, got a lot of miles on it, $2,000.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I mean,
seriously, everybody on the show knows at one point I owned a Pontiac Solstice. My wife hates them, by the way. But I found one that's like $3,500
right.
with the higher mileage. It's like right around 90,000. But I mean, it's just a beater car to drive back and forth, have a little fun in. I haven't made up my mind yet.
Well, that's what I'd be doing.
no.
I mean, well, that's what I drive anyway. I drive a beater, so
Well, Kim Rich commented that gas prices are going up and blah, blah, blah. And the majority of autos that will show up will be EVs. Do you realize it was a lithium battery fire that caught that ship on fire in in the ocean?
Well, here's my thing. All right. He said gas-powered auto prices will continue to climb by design by automakers. The majority of autos on lots will be EV. All right. So if electric vehicles make this huge they keep growing and growing and growing and growing and growing.
You can say comeback because it ties into tonight's show.
Right. It makes a comeback. All right. Say it makes a comeback. And most cars on the road are EV. Hey, I'm excited about that. Guess what's going to come down? Gas prices and diesel prices. So, hey, go out and buy one. Go right now, everybody.
Yeah, I don't know how true that statement is, though, especially if you're a Hyundai or a Kia dealership, because Hyundai dealerships are scalping Hyundai dealerships that are trying to sell their new electric vehicle at sticker are having Hyundai dealerships that are doing markups coming over and buying the cars just right off the lot, taking them to their lot and then marking them up. And Kia's getting into trouble because they're asking for credit checks. They're asking for deposits. They're telling people no test drives on their new $48,000 to $60,000 Kia. And then they're doing $15,000 to $20,000 markups to it. So
is that the Stinger?
No, the Stinger is the gas powered car they canceled a few years ago.
Oh,
this is like, it's 2 letters. I don't know.
Oh, all right.
No.
Not up on my Kia. Sorry.
Yeah. Neither was I until I read that article when they supposedly have this phenomenal electric car. But as you know, Will kind of alluded to the revitalization of gas cars, hopefully in the future, and I've mentioned electric cars. Let's talk about what the topic is tonight. You know, old is the new. And the idea is there's so much car technology that's coming out now, or has come out in even the last 20, 25 years. And it's revolutionary. But all it is a rehash of the past.
That's why it's revolutionary, John, because it's come back around.
Revolutionary.
Had to get it in there.
Let's go and revolve. Okay, yeah, I go with revolve. You know, we just figured out. I say it a lot. We just figured out how to do it. But what brought this topic to mind is who I can't remember who the heck I was having the conversation with or heard the conversation. And maybe you know what the car is, Derek. But technically, in the crudest form, GPS has existed since 1908.
At least.
Oh, what was the manufacturer that came out with a disc that you put in your car and it would track you and it would get you from like Detroit, from I think Washington, D.C. to Detroit or New York City to Washington, D.C. Well, and there would be turn by turn directions.
There were multiple different companies. So that's number one. I don't recall most of their names. Some of them were a round disc that, had basically it would tie into your speedometer cable so that you could basically set it to when you were starting. It would turn at the revolutions based on the speed you were going. They had a whole gear ratio set up. And there were some that had just simply turn by turn directions that as it spun the disc, it would show you, how far you're going, when your turn was coming, so on and so forth. So, you actually had to put the disc in of the route you were taking. There was also one that had, it was almost like a player piano. If everybody knows, what a player piano looks like, how they had the scrolls inserted into them. There was one that actually had a scroll system that you would put it in, and it was actually a map, a drawn map. And it again tied to your speedometer. So it would read how fast you were traveling, compare that to the scale of the map that's drawn, and spin everything at the right speed that you would basically be looking at turn by turn navigation as this map was rolling up as you were driving. So, and that's all been around since about 1908, 9, somewhere in there. The first companies started coming out with those. There was a ton of stuff coming out that was either mechanically driven, in your car, or just, books. Jason said Rand McNally. I don't remember when Rand McNally actually started, but there were a number of, atlas, not really atlases like Rand McNally, but just map books that would give turn by turn directions.
Now, and the funny thing is I heard it and I found, researched a little bit how it worked, but we used to think MapQuest was bad when you missed a turn. These things, once you missed a turn with these things, you were done.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, you'd have to get back to where you were, reset it all, hook it back up. It'd be like a 20-minute process to reset your nav.
Yeah.
Why can't you just read road signs and drive?
1908, they really didn't have a lot of road signs, Will.
True.
1908, they didn't have a lot of roads.
Yeah.
True.
It was there. Old is new. It's like Back to the Future. Where we're going, we don't need roads. Like 1908, you didn't need roads.
Yeah. And I mean, really, with the condition of most American roads, you're probably better not driving on them.
What are some of these other technologies that are floating out there? I've got my short list, but
turbochargers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they've been around forever.
Mm-hmm.
Like 1890 something or something like that was when turbos came out, right, Derek?
Yeah. I'm not going to remember the exact year, but I believe it was late 1880s, 1890s. The first kind of patents and designs were brought out for turbos.
Yeah, there you go.
And then they weren't really used on cars until race cars till the 60s, correct? And then the first road car with a turbo, modern road car with a turbo would be like the Porsche 930, mid 70s, 74, 75.
Possibly.
I think that was the first road car that came with a
But
turbo.
I mean, even superchargers have been around since the early 1900s. So I mean, things like that. I mean, and you get into anything, any form of power source. Okay, if somebody's built a nuclear powered car, that's probably actually kind of new. I mean, it's but I mean,
Cold fusion.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, you think about, I mean, electric vehicles are not new. Hybrid vehicles are not new. Obviously, internal combustion. Steam cars, nobody builds them anymore, but steam cars, no. Last attempts at a steam car were in the like 1950s and 60s. I mean, you name. I mean, even running off of wood gas or coal gas or anything like that, it's all been done. I mean, the one thing that has not been seriously, well, I'm not going to go there. Never mind.
Were you talking about a technology that exists now that really wasn't tried in the past, or?
No, it's been tried over time, but the whole idea of a car that's powered by water, essentially. So, you're really, what you're doing is trying to run off the hydrogen portion of water. Now there's hydrogen powered cars that are using straight hydrogen, but there have been people over time that have attempted to figure out how to essentially, inject water into a system to actually, atomize it so far that you would actually be able to combust the hydrogen portion of the water to create power. Now, okay, water power can also become considered steam, I guess, but there have been attempts at that over time.
Well, I was going to say Toyota's, and I can't remember who their partner is really big in this hydrogen and separating hydrogen atoms from water. And, that's, I guess, what the, biggest problem is, because hydrogen and oxygen are really clingy atoms, and they don't like to let go of each other. I guess they have a really good relationship. And once you get them separated, then you have a viable product. But the hardest part is the
you could
separation.
Actually say it's probably the greatest threesome in history.
What were you drinking tonight? This is like Derek's fourth threesome joke since we started this. Not necessarily show.
Actually, what am I drinking? I'm drinking dihydrogen monoxide.
What does that mean?
Wesley McBrayer said Honda did.
Yeah, Honda was one of the companies that did actually experiment with it. I don't remember every factoid about that, but yes, Wesley is correct. There was some work that Honda was doing.
That just be H2O.
So we've got that one. I think we've talked on a show, dual overhead cam, big deal. Honda's doing it, etc. We just mentioned Honda. A lot of people are, everybody's doing it now. It's kind of revolutionary. Corvette ZR1, V8, quad cam, 2 dual overhead cams. I know that wasn't the first, even in the modern era, but, was Duesenberg wasn't even the first example of dual overhead cam, was it, Derek?
They were one of the early ones, but I'm not sure who did the first dual overhead cam, but they were early in the game. I can say that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
I'm just gonna go ahead and do this. If you really want to learn about early automotive history, search out this book, The Standard Catalog of American Cars, 1805 to 1942. And this will tell you a ton of information if you don't already have it.
I've got a couple copies. Is it still available?
I have 2. No, it is out of publication, so you have to find it on a used, book site or something like that. I made sure I have 2 copies, and actually I got my dad a copy. So floating around in our libraries between the 2 of us are 3 copies. So.
Well, on the hot rod side of things, Randy mentioned something that patinaed paint. It's old paint. It's kind of a new hot thing. So it's old and new and hip, and and then the way that we build cars here is the way they built cars back a long time ago. If you don't have a part, you just make it. We use power hammers and nibblers and all this stuff to shape sheet metal, just like they did back in the day to make coach built cars. So essentially that's what we're doing. I mean, we're coach building cars. The Impala is a great example of that. Did we coach build the entire car? No, we did not. But the only thing we left stock on that car was some of the structure around the firewall, some of the door structure, some of the structure in the quarter panels, but not much of it. And we pretty well coach built that car, which is the way they done it back in the 1800s
days of coaches. And hence the reason it's called coach built.
Coach, right? So I mean, so even going that far with this subject is, and that's the way every hot rod shop's doing it. If they're building cars equivalent to that Impala, Alan Johnson's a good example of that. I mean, they can make every panel on a car. Jesse Greening, out of Coleman, Alabama, same place as Goat Island. But there's a lot of shops in the country that do it that way with old equipment. And if it's not old equipment, if it's a piece of new equipment, it's replicating that piece of old equipment that you either can't find or just physically can't afford if you find it. So,
well, and there's even people that are building essentially recreations of old equipment. Just so I believe it's a friend, which John knows this person. Will, you might too. But a friend that I know, he had a brand new Yoder power hammer built, but it's an exact recreation of the original Yoder power hammers, so that he could fabricate the stuff he was working on the way it needed to be fabricated.
Right.
You know what I mean? You look at the background tonight. Yeah, there's a bunch of machine tools, and it appears to be an old blacksmith shop. But the only difference between the equipment you're seeing there and modern equipment is essentially the drive system.
Right.
It's just that was belt driven back then. Now it's just run by electric motors.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
you can buy a brand new Pettengill hammer right now today. Brand new. And a lot of people say, that's the best power hammer ever made. I mean,
we had one of those at White Post. It moved the building.
Right. Right. So, I mean, I would love to have a Pettengill or a Yoder or something like that. I can't justify spending the money for one right now. We just we don't use our power hammer every day. If we used it every day, then heck yeah, I'd be all about it.
But you talk about coach building from the hot rod perspective there, Will. Actually, coach building seems to is hitting the mainstream a lot now too. I mean, if you look at some of these cars that want to say production cars and that are hitting the market or such. I mean, the Singer Porsches technically are coach built Porsches. Granted, they're starting with a Porsche, but they're tweaking everything and massaging every body panel and building the car Porsche would have loved to have built. But, Porsche's got to sacrifice a little bit for a production car.
But I guess I disagree with that, John. I think that's taking the term coach built a little too loosely, because Singer, they're not really one-offs, because
Every
they're
Singer is individually tailored for its owner. What, from body tweaks to the interior to not. There are no two Singers that are alike. There's a reason there's a 3-year wait list for them.
So you're telling me every Singer has every like fender is different, every panel on each car is different.
Not every panel, but there's every car is custom to the orderer's wishes. So it could be every panel could be if the owner chose to do that. Most of them, yes, every piece is massaged in some sort of way.
But you and I could order the same car.
Well, but I stand corrected. I thought Singer, I guess I was under the impression that they were the interiors could be different things, but I was under the impression that what they modified on the outside with the body panels pretty much stayed all the same on every single one. But if you're saying it can be changed, then yes, that's coach built. Because that's coach builders originally, you could custom order your coach any way you wanted, but were there some that came out almost identical? Yeah, because somebody would see one and go, man, I want that. And they would just say, hey, build me, Brewster, build me, something similar to what you built for that guy, but I want this and this in it.
Yeah, see, I'll agree with you, because I've also heard Spikers were coach built. No, not really. Spikers pretty much are consistent production cars. Cool, consistent production cars, but
yeah. So I think we got to really kind of understand the definition of some of the terms too, which always gets muddy when you're talking in any field that has terminology behind it. But, with the automotive or transportation industry, I think some of those words, I think everybody knows my pet peeve, the word curated. That word is used incorrectly many times. Not in the auto industry, but just in the general world. But we've talked about it before. There's words Will doesn't like because of a connotation behind it. And it's just defining those terms, even the word patina, because it's come up tonight, can get kind of questionable in the auto industry or in the automotive world. What does patina describe?
Heck, the
I know
word
we're getting
original,
off topic.
The word original has various meanings too.
Exactly.
Correct. So let me ask something. So the word coach built, I hate to say that we're coach building cars, because technically we're really not. We're not building cars from scratch, but we are totally individualizing these vehicles for their owner. So I mean, what would be the correct term? We're using coach building techniques.
Yeah,
but we are not coach building. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want people to get that twisted.
Don't shoot me if you hate this word, but I would just simply say you're customizing.
Right, yeah, and that's fine, because that's exactly right.
Yeah, you're using coach building techniques to customize production cars.
Right, there you go.
Which, truly, Harley Earl, who is kind of credited as one of the fathers, really the father of the automotive design studios that all of the big auto companies have. I mean, he started art and styling at, GM, which is now Design Studio. And, he came from a coach builder. His dad was a coach builder in LA and grew up around that. And then he actually, more so when he went into the auto industry, he wasn't really a coach builder, but he was a customizer. He was using coach building techniques to customize Cadillacs and Renaults and all the big high-end cars that the Hollywood elite back then,
Yep.
Fatty Arbuckle, most famously, he did 2 or 3 cars for Fatty Arbuckle. Those were he was customizing them using coach building techniques.
Yeah, I totally
Uh,
agree. I
yeah.
totally agree with Jason. Where coach built should be sanctioned by the original manufacturer.
Mhm.
You know, now if I bought Model A chassis and built my own body for them, and I could build one different. However, now I'm coach building.
Now you're
If I'm
coach built.
right, if I'm taking an original Model A body or even an aftermarket Model A body, whatever, and I cut it up and make it my own car, I have modified or customized that. So yeah, I don't want people to get it twisted that I'm over here coach building stuff, because the word coach built is the elite of the elite. Those are the guys that are the baddest dudes on the planet that are in our industry. So yeah, I'm not a coach builder. I could be, but I'm
But you
not.
could be if you wanted to.
Right. I've got the equipment and the tooling and the knowledge to be a coach builder, but that's not what I currently am.
See, and I take the term different, I guess, because I kind of feel you are in the, I guess, loosest terms of the words coach built, is you're building somebody's desire. You are taking a coach and you are building it to what they want. And to me, that's what coach building is. Building a coach, whether it be a stage coach or whether it be a caravan, to a an individual's customer's wishes. That's why I brought in Singer. Well, I guess Singer is a coach builder according to Jason's definition, because it is now sanctioned by the manufacturer. Porsche is actually building motors for Singer as an option. You can have a Porsche built motor put in your Singer now, as opposed to whoever, I can't remember, is building the motors for the Singers. I think it would be interesting to swing back to episode 21 of No Driving Gloves. Geez, I can't remember what date that was. October 23rd, 2017. We've
been doing that this long.
What?
We started in June of 2017. And so the 21st episode is, why are we not coach building, or are we? Might be fun to go back and listen to that episode and see what we feel about coach building there. And
wow, it's almost been 5 years.
Yeah, I know, right? So then I actually stand my ground on Singer, because if they're just taking a Porsche that's already built and simply massaging the body panels, they're just a modification slash customization company. Coach build, if you go back to the days of carriages and then the early auto industry, the true coach builders would have a chassis shipped to them from one of the manufacturers, and they would hand build that body to set specifications that they sat down with the owner and actually drafted a body for that.
So what's the difference if Will orders an Art Morrison chassis and puts a car on it?
Nothing.
If he's using a production body car, then he's simply customizing that car. If he builds the body on that chassis and builds it from scratch up, then that's coach building.
Right. All right. So this raises a question. There's a lot of bus manufacturers in the United States. Prevost is one of them. Bluebird, that's kind of what they do. They order a chassis and they put their body on a chassis. So would that be considered coach building? I know, let's say Etowah County School orders 30 buses to their specs, but Jefferson County Schools orders 200 buses to their specs, which are different. So would that be that Bluebird is a coach builder, or is Bluebird just a bus manufacturer?
I can't get over the fact that we call, our Prevost RVs, they're actually motor coaches. So yeah, they're coach builders. But I know what your question is. And maybe because, a Bluebird is, a metal framed coach or RV or whatever, where a lot of its competition, I can't say whether I know on a Prevost, our entire fiberglass boxes sat on a chassis. Somebody was talking to me, had to be 15 years ago, about a fire where their RV was stored and it burned down an entire warehouse of RVs. And 4 of them had the structure left and everything else was just a chassis. And the 4 that had structure were Bluebirds. The rest were not Bluebirds, and it was just basically it melted the fiberglass. Right. So I don't know if it's, coach built, but then I guess because you're just dropping the same thing on a car, on a car, on a car.
Right. It's almost a manufacturer, not a coach builder. So that raises another question. So Dave Kindig is doing he's calling it a production line of what looks like a overgrown 53, 54 Corvette. And they are built kind of individually for that person. I think they're carbon fiber bodies. It's kind of a one-off car. The bodies are basically the same, but you can get it completely individualized for you. There's colors and interior options, wheels, tires, headlights, engine, transmission options, and stuff like that. Is that considered coach building, or is that considered production with options? And is production with options considered coach building?
See, I put that as production.
Yeah. Because anytime you take, think about even the auto manufacturers, they put the same body on a chassis, but guess what? You can order a new car kind of how you want it. You can pick your interior color, you can pick some of your options, but that basic chassis and that basic body are not different from one to another.
It's more like ordering.
So that's going to production when you go that far.
Yeah, it's more like ordering a 69 Camaro. In 69, you could order, you could get a base car with the big motor in it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Or you could get the whole kit and caboodle and get everything, or you could get a base car with whatever. It's not like today where you order a package. You can get this package or that package or this package or that package.
Right.
So,
yeah. And there's even with Corvette right now, there's a ton of RPO codes that you can use to build, your Corvette, and you can actually get those fairly unique. When you get that many options that you can pick, and we have all the records at the museum. We archive the build sheets and records, and we can tell people roughly. We say that there's not, there might be a little chance that we could be a little off, but we can normally tell people they have one of 3 built the way their car is built, because we can search all the records and get a good idea of how many of these Corvettes were ordered this way, and then break it down through the numbers and say, okay, yeah, yours is one of about 3 that were ordered with the torch red paint with this black interior with this option, this stripe package, boom, 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 and break it down. But it still doesn't make that car coach built. It's a production car with options.
I agree. Speaking of that, how far does that go back? How far does that archives go back to?
So unfortunately, we only go back to 1981 when Corvette started production in Bowling Green. And even 81, 82, There are some records that are missing. Nobody really knows what happened to them. Kind of like all of the records from before 81. Nobody knows what happened to them. They just disappeared. But yeah, I mean, when you get to that level and you're just picking options and, in GM terms, RPO codes and, things like that, you're customizing, you're optioning out your production car. Now, if you actually, we have all the records for the 83s, Jason.
I was thinking you did have all the records on all the 83 Corvettes.
There just only happens to be one left in existence.
Heck, I even got them. Well, I agree. I agree 100%. I agree that if you're not, and I personally think you could have a coach built fiberglass or carbon fiber car. That's not.
Oh yeah,
that's not really probably the way that I would prefer to do it. But it is definitely an option, especially today with 3D printing and all of that stuff. You could 3D print all your molds and all your bucks and CAD design it and have a car and never even bang a piece of metal. That to me, that technology is pretty cool in that aspect of it. I'm a little more traditional, and I like hammering on metal. And I wouldn't be mad at anybody if they did it that way. So yeah, I mean, I agree 100%.
If you go back to episodes 140 through 142, when we talked to Sterling about his 3D printed Lamborghini, where he's done everything ground up, with building his own chassis, printing all his body panels, etc. Matter of fact, the only thing that really came from Lamborghini is once Lamborghini found out about it, or Volkswagen Group, they sent him a steering wheel. Mm-hmm. So he had a proper steering wheel. So is it coach built? I don't know. I don't know what the term really means now, but I think if you're building a car pretty much from scratch, or you're changing the overall aesthetic, every car to every car, it's kind of coach built. It's basically a one of one or one of two.
But what if
not because I have a 83 Camaro and I have the only one that's light blue with purple interior. That's not coach built. That's just me. You couldn't order a car correctly.
But if you copy, let's say I coach built a 32 Ford replica. Did I coach build it, or did I just copy something? You know what I'm saying?
But it looks just like something else.
Right. Is that coach building, or is that coach copying? I mean, I would have
calling it a replica.
Right. I would have a hard time calling that coach building if you're copying something.
Yeah. So you get into so many different variables because, okay, I build a Lamborghini Countach kit car and I do it to all the same dimensions and everything. Is that coach built? But if I do it on a Fiero chassis and I don't change any of the dimensions, but build it to a Fiero, so it's shorter and stubbier, it's not the same as a Countach. I'm sorry, I'm still not going to say you coach built your Lamborghini.
Right, I agree.
So I mean, I think there's some logic to it, but you're dealing. I think it might even go to a investment level. I mean, I don't know if it's crossed my mind when we're talking about. I don't know how this show progressed to coach building. Yeah. There's a gentleman that's on some of the Corvette boards. He's on some of the kit car. He's on some of the kit car boards. Derek knows who I'm talking about, who is taking a C8 Corvette and is making it into a mid-year Corvette. And he's, build techniques and all that aside, when he's done, he's taken a C8 Corvette. He stripped a lot of the Corvette. Actually, he stripped almost every Corvette body panel off or hidden them at least. Is that coach built? I mean, he's created his own molds for the body panels. He's, taken the front fenders off and the hood and changed the doors and, adhered things to the rear fenders. And I don't know if that, is that coach built or is that just a rebody.
I think that's a rebody or a customization.
Yeah. I think it's customizing again.
Yeah. I really do.
Well,
Mhm.
how do we get this all the way back to? So we're talking about old is new again. Now, actually, I guess the way we can get back to the old is new again in typical No Driving Gloves circular fashion is it's a No Driving Gloves episode. Just like
Yeah,
all of our old
exactly. We just-
episodes, we went completely off topic, and now we've arrived back at topic.
Gee, thanks, Will.
It is what it is.
Hey, you never know what you're going to get, and we can review this topic again in 5 years, since we reviewed coach building 5
There we
years
go.
after.
Man, I hate to go back to the whole 5-year thing, but dude, where has time went? I mean,
Yeah, I don't ask.
5 years. That's crazy. We've been doing this 5 years.
Mm-hmm. So I'll wrap this back around, and I will say truly what I always would tell people when I give tours or talk at my time at the Henry Ford Museum or the Crawford in Cleveland, not so much in the Corvette Museum, because of course we don't have any early cars in the collection, but really about the only thing that is in any way new to the auto industry is simply the development of technology over time, the adaptation of computer technology to operate as a brain inside the car rather than having the human brain be the operation behind it and understanding everything. That's really about the only thing that is ever per se new to the industry, is just the evolution of technology and its adaptation to what we already have.
Well, I was going to do a statement before we got off on coach building about the old is the new. Well, if you go back to, here we are, I'm throwing back to another episode 137, History of the Automobile Part 1. Derek took it to the extreme. Even the car's not new. Some dude in the history named Da Vinci created the car. It just took 400 years to come up with the technology to make it work.
I prefer the term self-propelled vehicle, but
so, but we're right about that hour mark. And since it's a podcast, we have to end on time. Nothing pisses me off more than when people say their podcast has to end on time. Doesn't matter. But the call to action. Check us out on the website, nodrivinggloves.com. Facebook links there. YouTube links are there. All the old episodes are there. We're coming close to episode 200. I mean, we haven't been one of the good podcast diehard episode every week, but we're going to be banging on 200 here in the next month or so. And, check us out. Give us some feedback. Throw out some topics. Jason had a nice compliment that, learning about 1908 GPS. Now, granted, it wasn't global positioning system, but close. We like to throw out some neat ideas every now and then. So, again, check us out on nodrivinggloves.com. You can buy us a coffee there if the episode is worth throwing us a couple of bucks, or give us some feedback.
If you take a globe with you in your car, it could be a globe positioning satellite system. Globe positioning system.
Yeah, globe positioning system. That would.
Yeah, just
Derek.
Yeah, what up,
Derek?
No, what? I thought this was a podcast. Don't we just ramble on for 3 hours?
Derek, be quiet.
It doesn't matter, Will. All the listeners are gone.
Even Jason's like, crickets.
I'm going, damn, and I have my board sitting here, and I forgot to pull out the cable, and I could have done a cricket sound effect. Chirp, 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 chirp.
We'll get there, folks. We'll get there.
We have no more live listeners.
You're way off on that one tonight, Will. We've had some record number listeners tonight.
No, everybody's gone now. Whenever Derek started talking about his globe,
And that little bell in the background's being worn by the resident cricket here in the studio, my dog, whose name is Cricket.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh, and we still have commentary from Brandy in the studio audience.
Yeah.
And the occasional chuckle. So, and
Dad, you're a little late
All
there,
right.
Pops.
now,
Sorry.
okay, I'm going to throw one out here to Mr. Posey. When you use a road map, do you always have the road map with north facing north, or do you have it oriented to the direction you're traveling? If you're a pilot, you always have north facing north.
Right. I was going to say I can answer that question because I've been his co-pilot before. It is always north facing north.
Drives me nuts, but that's actually the way Colin Chapman did it with Lotus, and people talk about that.
That's the way I have to do it. I mean, I'm a north facing north kind of guy.
I kind of have my GPS set up that so if I'm driving always straight up the screen. So
now GPS is different. I'm that way with GPS.
Okay,
but if it's a road map, you got to have north facing north.
No, I gotta have.
Hey, look, he says I'm right.
You're definitely right. It's just not the way I do it. I was just curious since we got on the subject of road maps too. But like I said, I'm out of here. I won't give you another plug to go to nodrivinggloves.com and check out the whole show and our back episodes. Give us a like, give us a follow, YouTube, Facebook, wherever you're at. And be sure to tell a friend about us.
Adios.
Later.
Bye.